Today our lesson is lesson 2 in module 2, interpreting division of a whole number by a fraction. Today we will be dividing whole numbers by fraction numbers. I'm going to show you how to set up the equation as well as how to create a visual model. So go ahead and copy the example that I have for you. How many 1/3 cups are in 9 cups? So the first thing we need to do is determine what this question is actually asking us. So the first thing that we have to look at is how many 1/3 cups are in 9 cups. So that's telling us that this is going to be the whole number that we are dividing. So if I have 9 cups, what I'm going to do first is create a visual model that would represent the 9 cups. So this whole thing is 9 cups. I'm going to have to make this a little bit bigger so that I actually have 9 on there. So let's see. If this is 1 cup, 2 cups, 3 cups, 4 cups, 5 cups, 6 cups, 7 cups, 8 cups, 9 cups. So the whole thing represents the 9 cups. Now I'm going to cut each cup into thirds. So I would have to put cuts into each cup that shows that each cup has 3 parts. And then I need to total that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So then I would say there are 27 1/3 cups in 9 cups. So this is the visual model that represents how many 1/3 cups are in 9 cups. Visual model. Now I'm going to show you how to do that as an equation. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take my whole number, which is 9, and I'm going to divide that by 1/3. And we're going to use our same steps as we did when we divided a fraction by a whole number. So my first step was to keep what was first. So I'm going to keep my 9. And remember, anytime I have a whole number, I can put it over 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. My second step is to change my operation. So I'm going to change this division to multiplication. And then my last step is to flip my second fraction to its reciprocal. Remember, reciprocal means my numerator and denominator are going to switch places. So it becomes 3/1. And then just like yesterday, we're going to multiply straight across. So 9 times 3 equals 27. And 1 times 1 equals 1. And remember, anytime I have a number over 1, it's the same as a whole number. So that's where I get my 27. So you can see that my answer matches the same thing that I got in my visual model. Now I'm going to show you another division problem when you don't know the whole number. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to the other page just so that I have enough room. And I want you to copy down this problem. Margot freezes 8 cups of strawberries. If this is 2/3 of the total, strawberries that she picked how many strawberries did she pick? So we're going to go back and look at our question. Margot freezes 8 cups of strawberries. If this is 2/3 of the total, what is the amount that she picked? So what I know is Margot picked some strawberries, but I don't know how many. So I'm going to create a visual model first. And this is my total amount that she picked. And I don't really know how much that is. So I'm going to label that on my visual model. I don't know what the total is. But what I do know is that if I cut it into thirds, this amount, and if you shade in this 2/3, make sure you do it lightly because you're actually going to be writing in these boxes. 2/3 of this is equal to 8. So just like we've done tape diagrams before, when 2 parts equal a number, then that means we have to figure out how can I split this number so that it's evenly distributed between these 2 boxes. So I have the whole number 8 and I'm going to divide it by 2 first. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. So that means each box is worth 4. And if these 2 boxes are worth 4, this box is also worth 4. So then I just need to calculate the 3 4s. So 4 plus 4 plus 4, which gives me 12. So then I need to write out my answer. Margot picked a total of 12 cups of strawberries. So this is my answer. Now I'm going to show you how to do that if it was an equation. So how would we set this up if we didn't have time or we don't have the space to write out an equation? What would that division equation look like? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get my whole number, which was 8. And I'm going to divide that by my fraction, which was 2/3. Remember, I can always put my whole number over 1. So I'm going to follow my same steps. I'm going to, number 1, keep my first fraction, which is 8/1. My second step, I'm going to change my operation from division to multiplication. And my last step, I'm going to flip my last fraction to its reciprocal, which is 3/2. And I multiply straight across. 8 times 3 equals 24. And 1 times 2 equals 2. Now, some of you might be saying, Miss Parker, but that's not the same as 12. Well, if you remember, this fraction line has a second job. It means to divide. So if I have 24/2, that's the same as saying 24 divided by 2. So 24 divided by 2. There is 1 2 in 2. So I write that down, subtract, bring down my 4. There are 2 2's in 4. Subtract, I get a 0. So that's where I get my 12. So 24/2 is the same as 12. And that is the same answer that I got using my visual model. Go ahead and take out your book. I'm going to give you just a minute to get that. Remember, we are on lesson 2 in module 2, so that's page S6 in your book. And when you open up that first page, I want you to go ahead and cross off that first page because we're actually going to be doing that work on the next page. So go ahead and go to page S7, and we are going to work through all of these together. And this was going to be around the room, but I decided it would be easier for me to just go ahead and do this with you. So what they want us to do is take this question that they ask us, write it as the division equation, then go ahead and turn it into our multiplication, and then set them up so that we can show how they are equal to each other. So let's go ahead and look at number 1 together. How many half miles are in 12 miles? So 12 is our whole number. Remember, we're dividing whole numbers by fractions, and 1/2 is my fraction. Remember that you can always put your whole number over 1. I'm going to enlarge this a little bit so it might be a little bit easier for you to see. So then if I do my keep, change, flip, I'm just going to remember keep, change, flip. Then I keep my 12/1. I change my division to multiplication, and I flip my last one to its reciprocal. So then I can just multiply straight across. And I know that 12 times 2 is 24. and 1 times 1 is 1. Now in the next one, it says to compare or write the equation showing the equivalence of the two expressions. So I'm actually going to just write the first one, which was 12 over 1 divided by 1/2. I put in my equal sign because if you remember back at the beginning of the year, I told you that that equal sign just means the same as. So that is the same as saying 12 over 1 times 2 over 1. And we're going to continue that through these next steps. So number 2 says, how many quarter hours are in 5 hours? And I know that a quarter means 1/4. So my whole number is 5. I can put that over 1 divided by 1/4. I'm going to do my keep, change, flip. So it becomes 5 over 1 times 4 over 1. And just, even though we don't have to solve it, I'm going to go ahead and solve it just for the extra practice. Equals 20 over 1. And then I'm going to write those out to show that those two expressions are equivalent. And then we're going to go on to the next one. 9 divided by 1/3. I'm going to go ahead and put my 9 over 1. Do my keep, change, flip. 9 over 1 times 3 over 1, which gives me 27 over 1. And again, it says expression, so the answers aren't necessarily required, because in an expression, you're really not getting an answer. There's no equal sign in an expression, but I just want to go ahead, like I said, and do that for extra practice. So then I put those two together to show that they are equivalent. And then go on to the next one. How many 1/8 pizzas are in 4 pizzas? So 4 is my whole number. I can put that over 1 divided by 1/8. Keep, change, flip. So I'm going to keep my 4 over 1, change my division to multiplication, flip to my reciprocal. And I know that that gives me 32 over 1. And then I'm going to write them as equivalent expressions. 4 over 1 divided by 1 over 8 is equal to 4 over 1 times 8 over 1. And finally, the last one. 4 over 1. Oh, I'm sorry. Our whole number was 7. So 7 over 1 divided by 1/5. Keep, change, flip. So keep my 7 as my whole number. Change my operation to multiplication. Go to my reciprocal, which is 5 over 1. And that equals 35 over 1. And then show those two equivalent expressions. 7 over 1 divided by 1/5 is the same as 7 over 1 times 5 over 1. So I know that that's been a lot of writing and it was moving kind of fast. So if you need to take a minute and pause and go back, that's fine. If you're ready to move on, then we're going to go on to the next page, where we will be looking closer at a visual model that I showed you in the beginning notes. So let's take a look at this and we will work through this step by step. Molly has 9 cups of flour. If this is 3/4 of the number she needs to make bread, how many cups does she need? So it says construct a tape diagram by reading it backwards. To draw a tape diagram and then label the unknown. So if I read it backwards, it says of the number. I don't know what that number is. So then the first part of my visual model is that part that I don't know. So this is like that second example that I gave you in your notes. So then next it says to shade in 3/4. So I'm going to take that visual model that I had before when I didn't know the whole amount. And it says to shade in 3/4. So the first thing I have to do is actually cut it into 4 pieces. So you can see now that I have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my denominator. So now I have to shade in the amount of my numerator. So I shade in 3. And again, if I do that very lightly. Next it says, label each shaded region to show that 9 is equal to 3/4. So I'm going to recopy that. I know some of you are probably thinking, why do I have to keep doing this? But it's going to be easier for you to go back and look at to know what you did and to understand the process if you write down each step individually. So I remembered shading in 3/4, and I know that this 3/4 is equal to 9. So next it says analyze the model. So I know 3/4 is equal to 9. So that means what I'm going to actually do is divide that 9 divided by, I have 3 pieces, which gives me 3. And that tells me that each one of these rectangles is equal to 3. So since I have 4 3s, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, I know that 4 3s give me the answer of 12. So then I can finally answer my original question of how many cups total does she have. So I can say Molly has, or actually Molly needs 9, 12 cups of flour. Now, you are going to continue with this lesson. You are allowed to work with your table group unless you've been directed otherwise. And you're going to work through problems 1 through 5 in the exercises. And it's up to you if you want to do the visual model. I may ask you to do a visual model on maybe 2 of them. And you can do an equation to go ahead and check that. You will notice that number 4 was the problem that we did in our notebook, so that would be a real easy one to put your visual model into. And then when you get to the problem set on the back of your exit ticket, I'm going to ask you to do number 2 and number 4. Only do number 2 and number 4, and you can do it at the bottom of your problem set page, and then you will also complete your entire exit ticket. If you have any questions or you need any clarification on anything, feel free to raise your hand and I'll be around to assist you.